So in our last video we dealt with constructors and we dealt with classes, and we just left off needing to fill out the rest of our functions for our bank account program and start talking about object-oriented programming. So while I was in between videos, I actually noticed a mistake with one of my functions. So I had a function that get customer ID that returned the ID for whatever object I created, and it's supposed to return a string that we see here, but when I created my class I created the ID as an integer. So it will be a number just in my program, but since we're not going to do any math on it or do anything with that number, it makes more sense to save it as a string. So we're actually going to change that to a to return a string. So it just kind of aligns with that function. Otherwise, we would get an error if we didn't either change this to string or change this to int for integer. So there is that, and we'll have to actually change our constructor as well to match up with that. So we'll say string, taking in an ID. Perfect. Alright, so let's go ahead and flesh out our other functions then. Again, all of the class functions need to start with bank account and then colon colon. So just going to copy and paste this and put it in front of all these. And these are going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to return, so just return customer ID. And then this one's going to return the balance. And looks like this one's trying to return a string. I probably changed that accidentally, so that should return a double because balance is a double. And then withdrawal and deposit are a little bit different. They are going to need to take in a parameter, so we need to give this parameter a name. We'll just say amount for both of them. And so what amount is going to do for withdrawal, it's going to subtract from balance. So we'll just say balance minus equal amount. And then just the opposite for deposit. So balance plus equal amount. Nice. And that should be all we need for our function definitions. Just take another look, make sure everything looks good. And now we can test everything. So we are going to create a new object. This is going to be an instantiation. So that word means creating an instance of a predefined class. So class has already been defined, and now we're going to create a member of that class. The word that we're using there is instantiation. So instantiation. Okay. So we're creating an instance of that class. The name of the user is going to be Zach. The ID is going to be a string, remember. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to instantiate this with $1,004.45 in the account. So let's just go ahead and test all of our functions here. Let me just get a list of them so we don't forget any. And so this is kind of the introduction here to object-oriented programming. So we're creating this object called Zach, and we are going to call functions on it. So we call the get customer name on Zach, call the get customer ID on Zach, and call get balance on Zach. So we will just output these functions to the screen. So we'll just say cout. And we'll just do it for each just to make sure everything works as we expect. Alright, so get customer name, we also want to get the customer ID, and we want to get the balance. Alright, and so we need to withdraw and deposit as well. So we'll just say, let's go ahead and say Zach, he withdraws. Let's say he's going to withdraw $100. And so we'll want to check the balance after that, just to make sure that works. So this should be 100 minus 1,004. Let's look at 904.45. And then after we withdraw some money, let's go ahead and put in some money. Let's deposit. And we're going to deposit $1,000.01. Right. So we'll print out again just to make sure that that worked as well. So now I should have, looking at 1904.46. Alright, so let's erase all this here. And let's go ahead and run our program and make sure everything is nice and beautiful. Put up this here. Alright, so program ran, and let's just take a look at the code next to what it output. So we have our get customer name, said the name, get customer ID, said the ID, balance, and then it looks like the withdrawal and the deposit both worked as expected. So that's our program, and nice and simple, but I hope you're getting the ideas of how object-oriented program works in C++. You know, it's very cool because you can make anything that you can think of. You know, you can make characters in a game, you can make countries, you can make cars, you can make any abstract data type with classes, and how you access functions of those classes, and how you access variables of those classes is with dot notation, is what this is called. So here I've just called the function that we defined in the bank account on our object that we made. So here we defined the functions, and then just to call it on a member of this class, you just put the dot and then call the function. And again, with our members, we have the private and public variables. So private variables we can't access with dot notation, but public variables we can. So we did create a bank name, and we would be able to access the bank name just with dot notation. However, with these ones, these variables up here in private, we could not with dot notation. So yeah, just Zach dot bank name. Name. We could set this equal to, you know, whatever we want, and we could also just call it by just hitting Zach.bankName. That would return whatever we want. So yeah, that is the basics of object-oriented programming. Congrats if you've made it this far. You are getting in some pretty cool territory at this point. You should be very proud of yourself. Keep on going. For deeper learning on C++, visit us at makethingswithcpp.com and be sure to like and subscribe.